All right, you're watching Facebook Live with Parker Harvey from Workforce Solutions. It's our monthly chat about the jobs numbers that have come out. Parker, what did we see some good hiring in October?
We did actually. This was another good month for job growth in Houston, following on September's, which at the time was the best month thus far in 2016. October now takes that title, and so we've got two good months back to back.
And what was the big hiring leads outside of government jobs?
Well, besides government hiring, which is pretty typical, related to continued hiring, in public schools, etc., you also have essentially trade, transportation, utilities, which really is what we're referring to there is retail hiring in anticipation of the holiday season.
And how many jobs did we have hired, or how many positions did we have filled in October for that?
For that, around 4,000 or so jobs.
Okay. And is that you say those are seasonal jobs, but could those turn into full-time jobs after the holiday season?
Retail typically doesn't. You typically see a pretty big drop off in retail jobs by about January or so, but that's to be expected.
Okay. What was another place that we saw some pretty good hiring numbers that maybe were a little surprising?
Sure. Professional and business services was another area where we saw some job growth. It's one of those big three sectors related to energy in many cases that has been beaten down pretty badly, and so it was encouraging to see that be up over the month as well. A lot of that came from administrative services and employment services, and the latter might actually be a sign of future hiring down the road, or it could very well just be related to seasonal hiring related to the holiday season. It's not clear, but nonetheless, though, definitely a positive sign.
And what about the manufacturing sector? Did we have some good growth there?
We did. That was actually the real surprise this month, given that it's been, again, beaten down like a lot of other sectors over the last couple of years. This ends up being the best October for job growth in manufacturing since records began in 1990.
Wow, that's pretty good. And what are those? Are those tied to the oil and gas industry as well?
Yeah, in particular because durable goods, that durable goods component of manufacturing was a major contributor to it. And that's the portion where you produce parts and equipment, et cetera, for oil and gas exploration and production. And so we've seen the rig count bounce up from about 400 rigs or so up to about 570, give or take. That's low since May. So it would make sense, though, if rigs are coming back online, that we are anticipating manufacturing of equipment and parts to service those rigs.
Okay, that's good news. Unemployment rate, what are we looking at for this month?
5.1%, down a bit from last month, which I believe was at 5.7 or so. No real surprise. Unemployment rate tends to come down in October, again, related to the strong hiring, related to retail as well as government, jobs coming back online. Nonetheless, we're still above both the state and the national averages, and that's to be expected here. But in the grand scheme of things, at 5.1%, the unemployment rate's still comparatively low based on what we've seen over the last, say, 10, 15 years or so.
All right. We have a couple of questions, one from last month, actually, that we didn't get around to. Since this is from Lucy Ibarra up in Huntsville, she'd like to know, since we know there is a large drop in specified areas of employment, are we strengthening areas of job growth by supporting efforts, ideas, and training in those fields? Do you know?
I would say so. I mean, we're certainly, looking broadly to see what other areas can we encourage people to look as far as, industries and careers, given that some of our key ones have been down now for a couple of years now.
All right. And Amanda Simonian, if I misspelled that, or missaid that, I apologize. She wants to know if there is specific segments or industries contributing more to the job growth than others. And you've kind of answered the second part of her question, which is a rebound in oil and gas extraction sector.
Sure. Absolutely. Over the last, say, year to 18 months or so, definitely leisure, hospitality, government, education, healthcare, things like that. Those have really been the sectors that have kept us afloat and have kept us having positive job growth over the month in many cases, and definitely over the year still. Eventually, at some point, though, that may even start to slow down as the population growth that we've seen over the last, say, 5, 6, 7 years starts to slow down as well. But for the time being, though, we are relying on those to kind of keep us afloat, and hopefully oil and gas will pick up the slack going forward.
And as far as the workforce solutions outside, this may not be in your area of expertise, Lucy also would like to know, do you have any data that shows the large events that we host, Workforce Solutions hosts, do better to encourage any discouraged workers?
To the best, I honestly, I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't work on that side of the house. it's something we could certainly look into, but I would imagine with, for example, Red, White, and U just having concluded that that was a good way of getting a lot of people, back into the workforce and looking for jobs and opportunities, not just veterans, but lots of people here in the region.
And just for context, we had more than 4,100 people come through hiring Red, White, and U last Thursday. So a week ago yesterday. So that was a pretty good. And we're still waiting to hear back from our partners or employment partners on how many actual jobs came out of that. But it was a good crowd that we had for this year.
Yeah.
Looking ahead, if you can put your magic 8-ball out and take a look at it, would you say would you expect for November and December to continue the trend in positive hiring?
Actually, I would. We typically still see some positive hiring in those months. More importantly, though, it still puts us on track to end the year with positive job growth year over year. There are currently some forecasts out there that take into account revisions that could take place, in spring. We may not, but as it stands, it looks as though we may just barely get through 2016 without losing jobs in absolute terms year over year. So that's definitely something I'm anticipating, but of course, things could always change.
And is there anything on the horizon that you know of that could contribute one way or the other?
Well, it's mainly just the continued positive momentum we've seen in professional business services, manufacturing, mining, and logging. As long as that momentum continues, then I think we're in good shape to be able to see those things happen I just mentioned.
Alrighty, I don't see any other comments, questions that have come in since we've started, so that'll conclude this month's Jobs Numbers Chat with Parker Harvey, and we'll be back in December with the November numbers. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.